You ever wonder what would make group play in The Division 2 fun again? Not just something you put up with, but something you actually look forward to? Season 3 might finally have the answer, and it all comes down to the new modifiers dropping on February 25th. Let's find out why.
Wait, did we just become best friends? So nice to meet you, I think you're cool.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
If you've run Legendary with your crew, you know it can be incredibly rewarding. For heroic group play, that's a whole other beast. It's not just that it's harder, it's that it feels flat when enemies just soak up entire magazines and keep coming. And don't even get me started on their melee attacks. They hit harder than their guns. When enemy scaling goes overboard like that, it kills build diversity. At first, new players might not notice, but after a while you realize that it's the creative buried builds that keep the game fresh. And let's be honest, we haven't seen a new mission in over a year. So we're relying on our builds to keep things interesting. Build diversity is what turns the same old content into something exciting. It lets you experience the game in a new way because your build enhances your performance differently. Sure, some complain that every build has been done before, but in my opinion, that's a lazy take. With new gear and modifiers, the meta is shifting, always shifting. I even saw a comment on a build video the other day saying, if you don't know how to make a striker build by now, I don't know what to tell you. Gotta love that passive-aggressive way of calling the community dumb, but he completely misses the point. A striker build today, the way it's applied, feels different, it handles different, the amount of armor you can put on it, all of that is different from a striker build just a single season ago because the game itself has changed. The way we approach builds is different. Before, gear sets were front and center of a build. In Season 2 of Year 6, gear sets were almost an afterthought. Now in Year 6, modifiers redefine how you approach your build and let you prioritize utility and defense over just stacking DPS. But here's the thing, these modifiers also show us that we really need more gear. We're just not equipped for this seismic shift in gameplay. Still, I genuinely believe group play is about to make a comeback. The new hostile countermeasure system is rolling out the Frenzy modifier, and it's a huge shift from Season 2's random enemy buffs. Instead of getting a mix of sometimes fun, sometimes frustrating RNG-based tweaks on certain enemies, Season 3 gives us one global modifier that scales predictably with your power. This means that every enemy faction, Hyenas, Outcasts, True Sons, Cleaners, Rikers, the Tusk, will eventually share the same balance buffs as you progress. No more chaotic surprises, just clear, measured difficulty increases. Let's talk about bullet sponges. One of the biggest gripes of this game, when the only challenge is dumping an entire mag into an enemy and watching it shrug off the damage, it stops being fun and becomes just plain boring. Sure, Destiny 2 and Borderlands have their share of bullet sponges, but they balance them with abilities, agile movement, and strong team mechanics that keep fights dynamic. The Division 2, though, hasn't quite nailed that balance in heroic group play. When every enemy is scaled to absurd health values, you end up stacking raw damage instead of using real tactics. That's where dynamic scaling should come in. Some games get it right, like Left 4 Dead's AI director, for example. It adjusts difficulty on the fly based on how you're playing, keeping the tension high without turning every foe into an unkillable wall. But in The Division 2, scaling often feels artificial, just cranking up enemy health and damage without offering new ways to counter it. That's why these Season 3 changes are so promising. Instead of making enemies tankier, the Frenzy modifier makes them faster, more aggressive, and deadlier. That's a real challenge, not just an endurance test. You're probably wondering, what the hell does this Frenzy do anyways? Well, here's the lowdown. As you scale, they scale, and at their peak, they're going to have a 30% rate of fire, 20% movement speed, and 20% health armor regeneration. And as you progress through the season, more enemies will pick up Frenzy. By Chapter 5, it's maxed out, and here's the best part. They're not getting extra armor, thankfully, because the last thing we need is even tankier bullet sponges. Instead, Frenzy makes enemies hit harder and recover faster. Let's talk numbers. In solo play, a heroic elite typically has around 9.8 million HP, just your average grunt dude. In a 4-man group, that number jumps by a factor of 1.71, roughly 16.7 million HP. A single target. That massive scaling turns group encounters into tedious grind sessions where you're forced to rely on raw damage rather than actual tactical depth. Damage over skill. With modifiers like Frenzy, and global systems like Rogue Momentum that reward aggressive, high-risk play by stacking bonuses such as 20% weapon and skill damage, 25% rate of fire, increased movement and reload speeds, and even overcharged skills. Our power scales more in line with enemy aggression. Enemies become deadlier, yet they're no longer just impenetrable bullet sponges. This is the kind of challenge that really rewards skill and strategy. And here's where it gets even more interesting. These changes promote true build diversity. No longer are players pigeonholed into a damage-only build designed solely to overcome monstrous HP pools. When you're forced to build solely for maximum DPS, you lose the chance to try out different playstyles. With the new modifiers, you're encouraged to experiment with utility, defense, and hybrid builds that adapt to various combat situations, whether you're flying solo or coordinating with a team. This shift really is a game changer, meaning even aggressive skill-based builds, I don't mean like assault turret drone skill-based builds, I mean like user skill-based builds, will be able to thrive in a coordinated team environment. And I think this is going to invite those types of players back into the fold and restore the tactical depth that we all crave. Imagine being in a group where your aggressive skill-based build can shine without being negated by random friendly fire or misaligned scaling. That's when gear like Hunter's Fury, the Dark Winter SMG, or the Memento Exotic Backpack really shows its true value. Take the Memento Exotic Backpack, for instance. If it's your go-to for those on-kill buffs that can swing a fight in your favor, solo play lets you grab every last shot and maximize its benefits. In group play, however, if your teammates are quicker to land the final shot, you miss out on that boost. That's why you often hear that the Memento isn't group-friendly. But if you're the kill leader and aggressive play is your style, then the Memento is an excellent choice, just one that demands execution. And it's not just the Memento. This issue affects gear like Hunter's Fury and the Dark Winter SMG too, where a critical kill every 10 seconds is essential for maintaining buffs. In coordinated teams, these pieces can deliver unmatched synergy. One might even argue they're the best gear in the game. In random or casual groups, friendlies might snag that last shot and steal your glory, forcing those who love these pieces to stick with solo runs where they can fully exploit their favorite builds. Another big issue is how the game handles heroic open world content versus heroic missions. In heroic missions, enemy ranks, like normies, veterans, and elites, are mixed in a balanced way, which keeps encounters engaging without overwhelming you. Notice we're not talking about legendary difficulty too much, and that's because this is why legendary difficulty doesn't feel that horrible from an HP pool perspective. But they have those damn healing stations, so there's that, and the medics, and those damn heat-seeking unlimited grenades that follow you around corners. Oh, and the drones, and every soldier has godly accuracy. Yeah, so there's that. But heroic open world activities, like control points, are often flooded with elites. Sometimes nearly every enemy is an elite, which leads to extended punishing engagements. Control points are awesome because they offer long action-packed engagements with minimal downtime, yet their balance is off. When you add more players into the mix, the elite spam turns these encounters into a slog. Meanwhile, those heroic missions can feel too predictable, easy, and boring for experienced players. Missions lack long-term replayability because they don't offer enough variability, while open world control points suffer from repetitive, inflated difficulty. With the new modifiers like Frenzy and systems like Rogue Momentum, elite-heavy encounters might actually be tamed if the scaling is balanced right. And who knows, a similar level of intensity might need to be applied to missions to keep them engaging at higher difficulties, ensuring endgame content remains both challenging and rewarding, because we're about to get a lot stronger. And this balance could breathe new life into endgame content and ensure that every encounter requires tactical depth rather than just raw damage output. This is the balance The Division 2 has been missing. With Season 3, group play isn't just about surviving an endless barrage of bullet sponges. It's about embracing a dynamic, balanced challenge that rewards creativity, coordination, and strategic risk-taking. Our power will finally scale appropriately against enemy aggression, giving rise to diverse builds that can shine whether you're playing solo or with a coordinated team. That means even if aggressive skill-based builds have pushed some players into solo play, these new changes will invite them back into the fold. So what do you think? Will Season 3 see a comeback for group play? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's talk it out. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm Tuxedo Bandido, and if you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on the good stuff I have coming for you. And if you like content like this, be sure to check out the video I have recommended for you right here. If you have anything you would like me to cover, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make things possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be the same without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy.
Wait, did we just become best friends?